Welcome back to my channel. I'm James, and today I'm excited to announce we're gonna deep dive into the Amityville Horror, the brand new 4K Ultra HD release that's coming out from Vinegar Syndrome. And this is the original 1979 classic horror movie, and it's one of those films that I kind of think the title sounds worse than what the movie is, but it's actually a really kind of just enjoyable kind of mystery horror thriller that I've always really kind of enjoyed. Now today we're going to be doing my exclusive 4K versus the original MGM Blu-ray release from 2008 image comparisons. And that's something I exclusively do here on my YouTube channel. And my goal this year is to hit 10,000 subscribers, and we're on track for hitting around 9. So it would really mean a lot to me if you'd go down and give this video a like and a thumbs up for me. Hit that subscribe button and the bell notification, so that way by the end of the year we can hit that 10,000 subscriber mark. So make sure to go down and hit that subscribe button for me. Now while we're going through the exclusive image comparisons, I'll also tell you about the testing data and things I discovered when testing this release. Now this was sent to me early for review from Vinegar Syndrome, so big shout out to Vinegar Syndrome for sending this to me early for review. I always appreciate it when these companies reach out and send me these releases early for review. But as always, as most of you know that have followed me for a while, just because something's sent to me for review, it never affects my testing data or my review score. And I'll always be upfront and honest with all of you about all of what I discover when I go through testing these releases. Now we're gonna start off with up here the original MGM 2008 Blu-ray images. Now these are pulled directly from the discs, and as always, this is the native data that's on each of these Blu-ray and then the 4K when we get to that here in a minute. But what that means is without all the things you can artificially do on your TV to try to pump up either color saturation or to try to increase contrast drastically, that's unnatural according to the disc. This is obviously the native data that's pulled from each of these discs. Now on the original Blu-ray release for the time, again, this is kind of something I've talked about a lot recently. It seems kind of weird, but the last like 3 or so reviews I've done basically have all been from original comparisons of the original 2008 Blu-ray releases. Well, I Know What You Did Last Summer, that was a 2008 Blu-ray release. Tropic Thunder, I think that one was also a 2008 Blu-ray release. And it's kind of funny how those have all kind of worked out. But this is also the original 2008 Blu-ray release from MGM. And it had a very gray color palette. Basically the original release, it was softer of an image a little bit, but it definitely had a gray color palette through most of the entire movie. And you'll notice the big difference now in comparison to the Vinegar Syndrome 4K Ultra HD release. Now, this is a brand new 4K scan and restoration from the original 35mm camera negative. And this is something that I'm always excited when I hear that. It kind of like perks me up when I hear, hey, they're going back to the original camera negative and they're scanning it in that. And that 4K scan makes a huge difference on this new 4K release. As you've probably noticed in those images above that are comparing the differences, you can see right off the bat the difference in skin tones, color, clarity. Lights to darks make a drastic difference. The whites are very white while the blacks are very inky. I did not encounter any black crush throughout it, which is always something I'm looking for to see, hey, did it go into the black crush area? Vinegar Syndrome did a great job working with MGM to scan the original 35mm film elements, and that makes a big difference. And when you're watching this, the film grain is very filmic and stable throughout most of the entire film. Now there is some very slight film grain instabilities in a couple of the darker scenes throughout the movie, but they're very, very, very slight and very minor. And I'm always picky for all of you, just like most of you know when I go through all of my testing here. I try to look for all the things, the good, the bad, and kind of point them all out for all of you. But the film grain instabilities were just very, very minor and slight. Otherwise, it looked great with the film grain. You could notice it throughout. There wasn't any major fluctuations or huge issues throughout it, and just looked really good. Now, this release by Vinegar Syndrome is a native 4K 2160p representation. So the nice thing is, like I said, when I said they went back to the original film elements, because they did a new 4K scan from those, this native 4K representation really shines through, especially in details in their skin. I'll show you a close-up shot of the priest character's face here, and you can see so much more detail in his pores and his eyes and his eyelashes and hair that you could never ever see on that previous 2008 MGM Blu-ray. And that also has to do with, because obviously you're talking about a 1080p versus a native 4K on that side, but if they would have used that old scan that they had from MGM, you would have still had that really poor, like, grayish color grading that kind of gave everybody kind of dead skin tones throughout it. Well, the good news is Vinegar Syndrome didn't do that. They worked with MGM to do this on a brand new scan that makes the skin tones come to life and actually look lifelike. And it's the best I've ever seen Amityville Horror ever look. Now, if you decide after watching my review, you do decide you want to buy this, I'll have the links posted in the description section and as a pinned comment in the comment section below. Now, talking about the audio mixes that are available on this, we do get a new English DTS HD Master Audio 5.1 and a 2.0 stereo mix. Though I will say the new 5.1 DTS HD Master Audio one was my favorite. I really thought it was the best sounding that the Amityville Horror has ever sounded. In comparison to the previous Blu-ray release, I thought there was numerous times that the audio would drop out or it'd be very difficult to hear what someone was saying if there was thunder outside or lightning. You'd almost have to like constantly turn it up, turn it down, turn it up, turn it down, one of those types of releases, because a lot of the times when they were talking really quiet and then something really loud would happen, it was a very kind of inconsistent audio mix, I felt like, on the original Blu-ray release. Well, the good news is Vinegar Syndrome says they did a brand new audio mix for this on that 5.1, and it's supposedly the original theatrical released for the first time ever. And I don't know as far as how that works out, but I can tell you that new 5.1 mix that they have on here was my favorite way to listen to the movie. The 2.0 stereo, I just wasn't as big a fan of. I really, a lot of the times, don't watch it in 2.0 stereo, most releases, most of the time. And I really felt like the 5.1 really shined through great on this and was a nice upgrade and increased the value of this release over the previous releases on Blu-ray. And I really felt it was the best sounding that this movie has ever sounded on home video. Now, I will tell you a little bit kind of behind the scenes something I think about this movie and why my wife and I enjoy it. It's actually kind of gives us the feel of like one of these classic horror movies that we enjoy, that we really heavily feel like reminds us of a Murder, She Wrote episode. And maybe you'll disagree, but I'm just telling you our little thoughts behind it. And here's why. The pace of the film is a very slower paced film. The cinematography, the music, the way that the film is kind of set up is more like a TV movie, which if you know the history of the Amityville Horror, it was actually originally intended to be a TV movie, which kind of lends to the feeling of the more episodic, kind of like murder mystery, haunted house type feel that they went behind this film, which is why I think I still enjoy it to this day. And it was kind of one of those funny things. We were talking about it and we were like, yeah, it really does kind of give you that Murder, She Wrote vibe or feeling behind it. Now, there's probably other things you can kind of compare it to as well, but that's kind of what we compared it to, that it kind of gave us that murder mystery type feeling behind it, especially with the slower pace of the film. But we really enjoy it. For a 1979 movie, it's not too over the top. It is rated R. It has some very, very brief language and violence. And the violence is, I'd say, very tastefully done. It's very brief. Like when you see anything happening, it's just very brief. It's not super heavy on tons of gore or blood splattering everywhere. Though there is the scene where the house bleeds on the walls, which I said I don't really think is over the top. I actually think that kind of looks a little cheesy, but the fact of it is for a horror movie, I think they did a really good job with it, giving a good story that you're entertained and interested in. And then I always really enjoy the ending. I won't give that away, but to me, that's kind of what made this mystery movie so much fun, is I really did enjoy the ending as well. And so that's kind of what lends to why I enjoy this movie. Now, this does contain subtitles in English as well, so if you do need subtitles, they are included on this release as well. Now, touching what you do get in this, it does have a really nice new cover art. I did like that. Obviously on the side it says the Amityville Horror with MGM and Vinegar Syndrome's logo. Talks about it on the back here. There's a bunch of new special features that were commissioned for this release that blow away any of the previous releases, so I was really surprised at the amount of special features that are contained on this, and a bunch of these are new ones that Vinegar Syndrome commissioned on their own, so I really did like those, that they included a bunch of new things as well. Now when you get inside here, you do get two discs here, and I'm going to touch on these here. For the Blu-ray disc, I did test it in all of my players, my region A, my region B, my region C, my multi-region, and my region free, as I always exclusively do. And I can tell you the Blu-ray is region A locked. So if you live outside of region A territory and you're wanting to import this through that link I've posted below, keep in mind you will need a multi-region or region free Blu-ray player to access that disc. Otherwise, your 4K disc is region free, so you will be able to play that no issues whatsoever. But most of the special features are contained on your Blu-ray disc. So to access and play those features, remember it is region A locked. Now, talking about what Vinegar Syndrome did with the Blu-ray disc, the nice thing is the Blu-ray disc does contain the new 4K scan on the Blu-ray disc as well. So again, they didn't cut corners by shoving on the old 2008 Blu-ray disc, the scan and everything, and throwing it onto the Blu-ray in here. You do get that new 4K scan on the Blu-ray as well. So that is a nice upgrade as well, is that you're getting all of that contained in there just without the HDR, and obviously without it being a native 4K, it dumbs it down to 1080p. But again, you do retain that better look for the colors and the saturation, things like that do look better on this than even the 2008 Blu-ray did. Now, touching on the image, something I did discover. When I was watching through the movie and comparing it side by side, they did do a really good job with their restoration that they did from the original 35mm elements. Now, the interesting thing though is there is still some small little smudges and blots throughout it that just randomly, we're talking very tiny, we're talking brief, like milliseconds, that will appear in the lower corners of the screen every once in a while. And they are so brief, again, this is me being picky here for all of you, that I really was amazed in comparison between the original 2008 Blu-ray. All the things that the 2008 Blu-ray had lots of tears sometimes through it, where you see like lines run down through it, or quite a few different smudges and wrinkles in that. They're gone in this. This restoration really is kind of one of those revelations in the amount of work that was done for this, that I'm amazed the Amityville Horror actually got done to it. Now, some very surprising information that I discovered when I did all of my testing. When I was doing all of my exclusive testing, sometimes I dive into a little bit more data to share with all of you. And I was really surprised by the very high and very strong average bitrate that the 4K had on this. It averaged roughly right around 86 megabits per second throughout the entire film. And that is amazing. I was really surprised at how healthy of an average bitrate this had averaged out across it. That it really lended to the stability of the image and how good it looked throughout the entire thing. That really surprised me. Again, another real surprise with what they did with this release, that stepping up something that I really didn't think would get that much love and care. Vinegar Syndrome really surprised me with this release, with the amount of work and love and care they did for it that I just never really saw coming. Now, for my review score for the Amityville Horror from Vinegar Syndrome and MGM, this gets a superb 9.7. This is a must-buy, highly recommended from me for you to buy this and add this to your collection. This is one of those superb 4K releases. If you like classic horror movies, classic mystery movies, classic thrillers that aren't too over the top, but have a really good feel and kind of have some history based behind them, based loosely on a true story and things like that, this movie's a fun ride, and I really highly recommend this release. I was really blown away by what Vinegar Syndrome provided here, and this is one of those must-buy releases. And I just say my hat's off to Vinegar Syndrome for the scan they did on this. I did not see that coming. The bitrate on this really surprised me how good and healthy of a bitrate it was. So overall, great job, Vinegar Syndrome. This is one of those releases that you'll sit back, you'll watch, and you'll really say, wow, they really did an outstanding job with this. It's the best release of the Amityville Horror that I've ever seen released on home video ever, and really feels like going back to the theater to watch it and seeing it for the first time, and it just looks and sounds superb. Now, if you enjoy all the hard work and time I put into every one of these exclusive comparison reviews, just like what you've been watching up above, the only way I can continue to create all of these exclusive comparison reviews, because they take me on average 3 to 4 days to pull all the data off, to test all of these, and to create these videos. I can only do it with all of you, my viewers and subscribers' support. Make sure to join my Collectors VIP Club. That costs you less than the price of a cup of coffee each month, but it makes a night and day difference to the creation of these videos here on my YouTube channel. I'm not sponsored or paid by anybody. The only way I can continue to create all of this content is through all of you, my viewers and subscribers' support. Every dollar of that VIP Club membership goes right back into this to help me to be able to keep creating all of this content. So make sure to join my VIP Collectors Club, or give us super thanks through the super thanks button down below. Also, don't forget to give this video a like and a thumbs up for me. Hit that subscribe button so we can hit that 10,000 subscribers by the end of this year. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and the bell notification. I hope you really enjoyed this one. This was something I wanted to get out as soon as possible for all of you. I was really blown away when I watched this. So I wanted to make sure to work extra hard, and I actually worked overnight through several nights to be able to get this video completed as soon as possible for all of you, so that way you know the quality of this. Now, if you are wanting to order it, as I said, I do have that Amazon link listed down below. It'll be available on there to pre-order here very soon, because I do think it comes out on Amazon usually about 3 weeks after my review here, because this is an early review before it's available to pre-order on Amazon. So if you do click through that link below, it will be available here soon to pre-order on Amazon through those links I posted below. Make sure to start the conversation in the comment section below. Let me know your thoughts on this film, if you're excited for it now that you've seen my comparison review. Start that conversation down below. I always love to hear from all of you. Now, as I talked about recently in my last several reviews, I'm working on right now the Return of the Living Dead, doing all of my exclusive comparisons and doing all the testing data on that. That'll be coming out very soon as well. That's about a 3-week early review. Shout Factory sent that early to me for review as well. So again, that's some more exciting content coming out soon. As always, I hope all of you have a blessed day, and I've always got something new and always exciting coming out soon.